This is KOIN-TV, Portland.
Appealing to a wider audience, in 1954, KOIN launched live visit-in time, a combination of music and personality. One of the hosts turned it into a 14-year career. Doris Khyber, accompanied by husband Bob at the piano, she sang and welcomed guests. It became a brand new High Neighbor show in 1957. Doris sharing musical notes now with Red's Gang, the program's official orchestra. Under the guidance of Red Dunning, the gang traced its ancestry back to radio's infancy. And as TV cut its own teeth, Red's gang proved radio could indeed teach television a few tricks.
Of course, that was handed down from the old station, the old radio station. Of course, we always believed in live music down through the years. It worked out very well for us. And so that carried over into television too. That is, Mr. Lane was, of course, Howard Lane was head of the station, and he believed in it too. And so we put live music in this show, and it worked out very well. Behind Doris Khyber, and later on Johnny Carpenter was with her too.
It's 12:05, time for Variety and Music on Channel 6 with Red Dunning and the KOIN-TV Orchestra. John Moorhead on drums, Julius Walter at the organ, Fred McKinney piano, and Jack Lenard guitar. Now your High Neighbor host and hostess, Johnny Carpenter and Helen Burns.
We've always claimed we baste a turkey here every day, and we're going to prove it today. We've got the turkey to prove it, haven't we?
And while hosts changed from time to time, the format of mid-morning music and interviews did not.
It's 12:05, and time for Variety and Music on Channel 6 with Red Dunning and the KOIN-TV Orchestra. Cash Duncan guitar, Julius Walter at the organ, Fred McKinney piano, and Jack Lenard guitar. Now your High Neighbor host and hostess, Johnny Carpenter and Doris Khyber.
Hi there.
Hello, you all out there.
By the 70s, High Neighbors Combo reportedly was the only live local studio orchestra west of the Mississippi. The husband and wife team, Des and Irene Young, took the helm in 1969. The homegrown pair of folk singers stayed with the show until it came to an end in 1973. Over the 19 years, there was a steady stream of stars and celebrities who came to sit and chat on High Neighbor. We know they were here because they left their names. Jimmy Durante, Jane Wyatt, Eddie Albert, Lowell Thomas, they all signed the High Neighbor table. Part of an old news set from not so many years ago. We've gone through a good number of news desks and weather boards since Art Kirkham sat down at that first one on the initial day of broadcasting.
We were allowed, as I said to the boss, Mr. Myers, I said, I can't go on there cold and memorize all these stories. I said, I'm going to do what comes naturally. I will say a line or two or three or whatever, and I will also read a line or two or three from my script, because that is the thing on which I'm anchoring. That's the story in a nutshell that I'm telling.
Usually, though, when you think of Kirkham on television with the news, you think of two other names, Bob Lynott and Johnny Carpenter. Lynott did the weather, Carpenter the sports. Lynott, in fact, was called Mr. Weatherman. The two were identified definitely with what they did. Nowadays, it's generally news, sports, and weather. In their day, when it was the Shell newsroom, it was weather, sports, and news. 15 minutes total at 6 o'clock. Most often, it was a serious, straightforward presentation. But there were moments.
I didn't see any rain at my place. Art, was there any rain at yours?
None at my house.
Ted Cook said there was none at...
Fellas out here on the floor, did you see, hear, smell, feel any indication of moisture today at all? No! I have a message here from Captain Eckerman, a telegram at the pilot station at Astoria. He said this is the first time Bob has missed, to my knowledge. This must be the first time he's watched the show. Bob, I want to make it clear that you suggested this. I did not. This is your idea. So I hereby christen you Misinformed of 1960.
We remember the water episode because such things happen so seldom. It was not the happy talk which appeared on television stations in the early 70s.
I don't know if there's any point going on with the sports scene or not. Good evening, sport fans.
As for television news in Portland, one milestone was the arrival of a husband and wife team in the mid-50s, Chuck and Betty Foster, with, of all things, Betty being the lady behind the camera. News film itself was an innovation on local newscasts then, but to have a lady shooting it was even more memorable.
I was the only woman doing it. So when I walked into these things, why, it was very interesting, and it was a very exciting and an innovative thing to be doing. When I did
part of the,
for both of you, that's true, though.
Yeah, part of the advantage of her being a woman was it gave her an entree to a lot of things that men couldn't get into. People gave her preferential treatment because she was a woman. They cleared the way for her because she was a woman. Of course, she never used this, you understand.
No.
But it did. It opened a lot of doors that otherwise might not have been opened.
In 1961, Foster became news director, through floods and Columbus Day storms and political conventions, not to mention the continuing improvements of the equipment news teams experimented with.
This is only a test. This is being shot on 9:30 at 17 and a half. And that's it from today. Are you clearing on tight yet?
Reporters and technicians haven't changed all that much since that test recording was filmed. You may remember some of the staff members from a few years back. The staff has changed and grown, and news directors have always liked to have group pictures. As for individuals, we won't forget Gary Hamilton, a sports director who died in a fire. Barry Serafin, he's now a CBS correspondent. Ed Sardella with a Denver station. And this gentleman, Chuck Royer, now mayor of Seattle.
Hi, I'm Chuck Wise for a weather wrap-up. You may have noticed that there was some cloudiness moving into much of our local area and much of the Willamette Valley last night and early this morning.
Then, of course, there was a skinny little fellow who started doing the weather when he was quite young.
It has been moving in through parts of British Columbia. This has been causing showers along the Washington coast, and these showers have not gotten much further than southern Washington as of this morning.
Chuck Wise was only 11 when he cut that audition tape. He's still around.
This is KOIN-TV, Portland.